LSU. Tigers received their bowl fate yesterday, as we predicted last week. Headed to Houston. The Texas Bowl was not going to pass on LSU should they fall that far. It's pretty predictable that they would, because I don't know how desirable a 6-6 LSU team that has moved on from its coach is. But that's what the Texas Bowl is getting, and Kansas State will be the opponent. We know that game is going to be January 4th. That is a Tuesday at 8 o'clock Central Time. Great news for the post-game show host, who will be on the air until 2 in the morning. So you saw the matchup, saw the bowl game. What did it speak to you?
Yeah, it's exactly where you expect a 6-6 football team to be. Obviously not what LSU fans are used to, especially from the coaches we've had here in the past. At least you're getting a New Year's Six bowl, obviously far from that. So I think it'll be a great opportunity. I think I heard Coach Davis talking about it, especially for next year and what Coach Kelly's trying to build. They're going to get a chance to practice 15 times before this game, and I think just getting how he wants to run this program, how he wants to hold these practices, getting a lot of these kids who obviously played a lot of snaps this year, who are coming back, who haven't hit the portal. It'll give them a great opportunity to get better heading into the spring. So that's more of what I'm looking for, gearing up for next year, and you get 15 practices to do it.
Yeah, this bowl game really doesn't do much for me, quite honestly. Kansas State is just about as boring an opponent as you can possibly play right now as we sit here. I cannot name one single Kansas State football player, not a one. And you look up their schedule and see what they've done thus far. They lost their last 2 games of the season to Texas and Baylor. Prior to that, they were sitting in a pretty good spot, but obviously fell off. You look, they don't have any, super awesome wins. They beat a bad Stanford team, played Oklahoma close, lost the game, played a tight game with Oklahoma State that ended up being a 10-point loss. They went to Texas Tech and won. They beat a bad TCU team who had fired their coach. They beat Kansas. They're not very good, and they're not very interesting, but the Tigers do get to play again, and I think that's important. And certainly as you listen to Brad Davis yesterday, he's excited for this, and this is a great opportunity for him. He really likes it in Baton Rouge. It's home for him, and he has talked about that pretty openly. Met with the media yesterday to talk about being with his family after church and his mom making a pot of white beans, and he's talked about how every time on Father's Day his wife would send him some boudin wherever they were for Father's Day. He doesn't have to do that anymore because he's at home. And it was such a short time from the time he was hired to the time that there was a change made up top. For him, may or may not be back next year, but he does get a chance to lead the Tigers one time as a Baton Rouge kid. That's got to be cool for him.
Yeah, that's a great thing for him, and I think he talked about it as well, being 0-0, and then how important it would be for him to become 1-0 as a head coach, and you get a great opportunity in the Texas Bowl to get that accomplished. So I think you making that decision to make him the interim coach, I think seeing him hold that press conference and seeing him, still, not trying to do his thing, but actually listening to Coach Kelly and how he kind of wants to prepare things for the future. I think that just shows how unselfish he is, and I think it's a great decision by the higher-ups to make him the interim until we get this thing figured out with Coach Kelly.
Yeah, we've got that sound, and I think it's interesting that Brian Kelly and Brad Davis will work kind of together to get this thing rolling.
I'd be foolish not to utilize his expertise. He's obviously coached in tons of big football games. And so, going forward, I want to be in compliance with what he wants in regards to the organization of it. These 15 practices are valuable. And so we don't want to waste one of them developing this team for 2022. Obviously, the bowl game is the matter at hand, but we definitely want to springboard into 2022. You know what I mean? So as it gets closer to time for our preparation, getting through this next week and recruiting, I fully intend to spend time utilizing him, for both the analytical piece and his expertise. Yes, sir.
So the question was brought up last week. Do they does Brian Kelly coach in the bowl game? That decision's been made. He's not going to do it. And I think that's just fine with me. I think Brian Kelly needs to focus on some other things that are going on right now and let Brad Davis focus on the Kansas State Jayhawks and the Texas Bowl. I mean, that's the most obvious thing, and he obviously is doing that. And they're still out there on the road recruiting. They're still trying to do the best they can while they're here at LSU until the decision's made that they are or they're not. I'm a little bit surprised to this point, Jeremy, that we haven't had any announcements on really anything with the current staff. Are you?
It's a little shocking, but I think, when you have the 2 seasons we've had, the back-to-back years, I think obviously recruiting is so important, but I think you got to get these hires right. I think we've seen kind of, just throwing guys in thinking, hey, it's LSU. They'll be fine. You can throw anyone in that job and they'll figure it out. I think we saw that probably doesn't work at the level that you would want it to. So for Coach Kelly, take your time, find the staff that you feel like is going to be best to build this program back to where it is, and coaches that can come in and really, develop these players on and off the field, and you just don't do that overnight. So obviously, I love some of the coaches we had on the Coach Orgeron staff, but man, it's a little weird that we haven't announced one name.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been nothing. You would think at some point they would bring someone on. I realized that there's some guys coaching championship games last week and all that, but the dust is kind of settled. I would imagine here over the next 48 hours, some things will start to happen in terms of guys that are going to be on this staff moving forward.